I'll move on to the Matt part of it. Matt is sort of conceding. I mean, he's still obsessed with the dualism stuff. He's always looking for a conflict that needs resolution, and I think the only conflict is emotional crisis of having to accept that there isn't a fairy tale, that there isn't a happy ending, that there isn't any logically discernible, easily understood purpose for humanity. And there's no, that's what sort of complicates the whole thing, because are we just animals, and should every animal just strive to fulfill itself, to gain its own satisfaction? Or are we intellectual beasts in the universe, the intellectual, I don't even know what the right word is. But there is that's the only dualism that exists, is this conflict between our intellect and our personal, selfish, petty and bullshitty needs, desires, drives, like I said, the anger, all the stuff we personally feel and have to somehow express or release or satisfy. And then we have to be careful not to corrupt our intelligence in the process of doing that satisfaction. If we're using our intelligence to justify our personality, then that's a big mistake. And if we're using it to facilitate the satisfaction of our subjective, that's a big mistake. Intelligence might not be able to guide us through everything, but we should at least respect it enough not to abuse it. And that's the dualism. That's the problem for each individual human, is they have to deal with this fact that they have this subjective self that, God damn it, it wants this to be better. It wants a better reality. And that's the simple truth. It wants a better reality. And science and logic aren't giving it the evidence that better reality is attainable or even available. And so there's this huge frustration, because then we have to run someplace else. We have to run to some better hope, that we can wallow in some better perception of reality than the real one. And Matt he's always down on science, and science is just, we're all scientists, we're all thinkers, and it really, there's nothing, science isn't telling us, science is providing us with evidence and information, and you have to take it for what it's worth. You don't follow a scientist like you follow a religious leader or some other thing, like they have some sort of divinely imposed understanding. They have an understanding you can have. You can acquire what they know. You can acquire the information they're basing an opinion on. And so it's not some mysterious or incredibly oppressive force that's telling us what we have to think. It's not an institution of cultural influence. The influence is us. We're the ones that either accept the truth or don't accept the truth. And it's like, Matt gets caught in all this. I don't even know why somebody would even ask the question, does time exist? It's like, does rain exist? Does snow exist? What's the point of calling time an illusion? It's obvious it exists. It's obvious. Well, like I said, I don't even know how to argue with a question like that. And so I'll try to get to some other metaphor or some other part of his argument that we can say that perception is the game, which it is for each individual, but we're still part of something. We still have an influence. We still are part of the social machine. And if we're deluding ourselves, then we're not likely to be a functional or useful part. And that's just the basic truth. I mean, sometimes a lie can work, but most of the times the lie isn't going to work. And you know, now we get to that. I mean, it gets me sort of back to Cosmic Pilgrim, because that's what this battle's sort of about. I mean, we have atheists who are just fake atheists. They're not even a real person. They're playing a YouTube game, and so it's all performance art. It doesn't have anything to do with real people, real feelings, real thoughts. It's this contrived bullshit, and part of that for entertainment purposes is fine. I mean, I sort of label my videos, sometimes I'm just trying to be funny.
Sorry for the interruption. So I'll finish this up. Basically, Matt doesn't believe it's possible to combine or meld these two conflicting elements, this subjective self that's living and experiencing life, and this objective intelligence that says this is what it really means, this is the truth, it's all bullshit. I would argue that we can do that. We can admit to ourselves there's part of life that's going to be our silly, stupid part, the part we're going to indulge, where we're going to feed our anger, or we're going to feed our dependencies, or we're going to feed our vulnerabilities or our weaknesses as human beings. And then there's parts, there's arenas where, yeah, it will be serious, we'll be rational, we'll be disciplined in how we apply our intelligence. So I would say, obviously, that, you know, in the political arena, in the arena where we are deciding what the law is going to be and how we design our society, yeah, we have to void ourselves of our emotions, of our humanity, of the bullshit, and try to make as, you know, intensely as logical and as disciplined decisions as possible based on what we do know. And then what we know is the whole determinism argument, the whole we are what we're programmed to be, all this other stuff, the fact that human beings are equal, that there's this necessity not to waste resources, that there has to be some efficiency in how we design our society, all that responsible stuff, all the stuff the intellect can take care of. That's how the world should be run. But how we live personally, we can have our silly affections. We can love for stupid reasons. We can we can wallow in our emotions. We can feel them. We can express them. We can have tantrums. We can be stupid. We can be assholes. We can be all these things, as long as we don't allow that to be controlling. As long as that isn't the controlling personality of the human being. In the important aspects of life, in the interrelationships with the rest of the fucking goddamn world, then we can still be fucking human. We can still, I mean, I can have absolute contempt for nature, but I can still enjoy a beautiful sunset. Okay? I can pet the cat, I can do this, I can, you know, we can live emotionally satisfying and dependent and addicted and stupid, and like I said, it doesn't, our satisfaction is never going to be perfect. And we're not going to get that from we're not going to get that from reality, and we're certainly not going to get that by perverting our intelligence and making it a slave to that. And that's the argument here, is that we can't use intelligence as a tool for our own satisfaction. We can't let our hate own it. We can't let our pettiness own it. We can't let our jealousy own it. We can't let all the stupid emotional part of ourselves own the intelligence. But we still can be this feeling organism that needs to hope, that needs to believe in something, that needs to strive for something, that needs the silly little things like a compliment or some gratification or some sense of appreciation, the ego boost, all the little bullshit that we live for, all the little stuff that makes our subjective personality, the ape, able not to be wandering through life in some dismal depression. So I don't think there's a duality. I don't think there's a conflict between these two forces. But there is no, you know, Matt's kind of emphatic that they cannot, you know, there's no coexistence, that somehow it is a fence you're walking on and you had to decide one side or the other or some other crap, and there isn't. They have to be folded into each other. Sort of like as Nick sees the way we fold culture into, you know, creating a more balanced human beings, and that there's this morality has to be integrated, but it has to be integrated into the nuances of human personality and the scientific facts, and it can't be forced. And it's just finding the way to just, you know, push this modern knowledge into this crude animal, and this culturally corrupted by religion animal. And that's like that's the whole story, really. I mean, our culture is shit because of religion, so that's why it's important to be anti-religion. And our makeup, our basic physiological makeup is corrupted by a nature that knew nothing, had no compassion, no empathy, no rationality, no anything. It is a lizard, it is an animal that's inside of us, and this intellect. But they can be integrated by just by having the intellect understand what the others are, and for having the one disciplined principle to know that, you know, the lizard and the ape can be the players. They can do the living, but they have to have proper respect for the intelligence. They can't use it as a hammer. And so I guess that would be the end.